What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one, man. So we got Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez in the news today, man. Actually, I'm just really finna just drop my opinion on something, man. It ain't really an opinion. It's just my facts. I just feel like this, man. David Benavidez needs to he no longer needs to focus on Canelo Alvarez. First and foremost, let me state, David Benavidez has done everything a fighter is supposed to do to get a big fight with Canelo. But this is why I just feel like David Benavidez no longer needs to focus on Canelo. I mean, because you Canelo fanboys, and more than likely Canelo himself, y'all continue to move the goalposts. I remember when David Benavidez was first, when it was first being pushed that David Benavidez was calling out Canelo Alvarez. You know what Canelo Alvarez stated? Canelo Alvarez got on that press conference. Well, he was at the post conference. Can't remember which fight it was, but he said, "What has David Benavidez done? He's fought with nobody. He's only beaten one champion, which was Anthony Durrell. He's only beaten one big name, Anthony Durrell." Right? All right. At the time, okay, it's like, all right, cool. Now the problem with that one statement is, I'm gonna get to each statement on the timeline, but the problem with that one statement is that he's never fought with nobody. Is that neither has Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia's never fought with a big name either, nor has Edgar Berlanga, but they got to fight with Canelo. All right. Then next, all right. So, but at that particular time, I was like, all right, cool. That let these guys fight each other, get their names up, whatnot, right? Then the whole excuse came that Canelo doesn't want to fight another Mexican. And okay, that some people let that fly. A lot of people knew that was a cop-out because, Canelo had fought Mexicans before. What's his name? Alfredo Angulo. He's fought Mexicans before. All right, maybe at the times, like, maybe he turned a new leaf. Maybe he no longer wants to fight Mexicans until he fought Jaime Munguia, who I believe is out of Tijuana, Mexico. I don't know what part, but I know he's Mexican. So then it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. You just said you didn't want to fight Mexicans when it came to David Benavidez, and now all of a sudden you're fighting Jaime Munguia. That's weird. All right. Canelo fanboys, they came and justified this by saying, when you brought up David Benavidez, they said, "Oh, David Benavidez, he's ducking David Morrell and all this, and he's ducking David Morrell. What has he done to deserve a fight with Canelo and all this type of stuff?" All right, okay. Then Canelo Alvarez says David Benavidez is being too disrespectful. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't know how long you guys have been watching the sport of boxing, but I have never in my life heard any champion state some stupid stuff like that. This is boxing. You are gladiators. If somebody is being disrespectful, you're supposed to shut them up. That's diva mentality. That's a diva-ish attitude to have. Man, think about the champions before. I remember when one of my favorite fighters of all time, Miguel Cotto, fought Ricardo Mayorga. This dude, Ricardo Mayorga, is about as disrespectful as it gets. I mean, this man will talk about your wife. He'll do everything except talk about your kids. He'll I give him credit for that. He's not gonna bring your kids into it, but he will talk about your wife. He'll talk about your personal stuff. Ricardo Mayorga is about as disrespectful as it gets. Oscar De La Hoya still fought him. Miguel Cotto still fought. Like, I've just never heard anybody use that excuse. I don't, he's too disrespectful. Go in there and shut him up then. All right. But the final one was the whole David Benavidez ducking David Morrell, right? And to David Benavidez, all I'm gonna say is, bro, no matter what you do, they're gonna continue to push the goalposts. They said after he fought David Morrell, they said David Benavidez looked like, they talked about, his performances and whatnot. And first of all, when you are a prime fighter fighting another prime fighter, you're not gonna look dominant as, you know, that like, people don't understand that. That's what happens when two fighters in their prime fight each other. The fight is back and forth. You don't look as dominant. Floyd Mayweather didn't look as dominant fighting guys like Jose Luis Castillo or even what's his name, Emmanuel Augustus. Floyd Mayweather didn't look as dominant fighting those guys. But that's what happened. Well, I shouldn't have used Emmanuel Augustus. But that's what happens when you fight guys when you're in the prime and they're in the prime. You're not gonna always look as dominant. But here's my further issue. If David Benavidez didn't look as dominant and he looked like he put on a trash performance, and he's been looking trash ever since he's moved up to 175, right? If that's the case, why don't Canelo move up to 175 to fight him then? Why don't Canelo fight him? Like, see, this is the thing about it, man. It's like, bro, I don't personally see how anybody can hate fighters like David Benavidez or Caleb Plant. How do you hate those fighters? How can you hate on those fighters because all they want to do is fight the best? Caleb Plant has proved himself. He you know, and here's the thing that gets me. Everybody else gets a fight with Canelo Alvarez. They get, and it's justified. Canelo Alvarez fights Jaime Munguia, which is, I'm not gonna stunt. That's not a bad fight. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It's not a bad fight. But the problem is, Jaime Munguia didn't deserve that fight over Benavidez. What has Jaime Munguia done since he been at super welterweight at 154? That was the last time this dude had a title opportunity. He moved up to 160 and avoided Demetrius Andrade and avoided Janabek, both in which he was mandatory. He was mandatory for both for their titles for the WBO. He didn't want to fight neither one of them, so he didn't even fight for a title at 160. Then moves up to 168 and gets a fight with Canelo Alvarez. What sense does that make at all? It made absolutely no sense. Edgar Berlanga, please tell somebody in this damn YouTube hemisphere, tell me what the hell Edgar Berlanga did to deserve a Canelo Alvarez fight. I'm listening. I'm really interested in that. Can't tell me, you know why? Because the man did not do anything to deserve a fight with Canelo Alvarez. But they all got fights. Everybody, if you notice, everybody gets fights except for David Benavidez. So David Benavidez no longer needs to worry about Canelo. I think David Benavidez just needs to focus on his legacy. And he's, you know, hopefully, I ain't gonna lie. I'm rooting for Bivol. Because Bivol has always been my favorite fighter at 175 pounds. I want Bivol to get his revenge on Better Beef. I really hope he does. But see, here's the catch to that though. If Bivol does get his revenge on Better Beef, which I'm praying that he does, then that means it's going to be a trilogy, and that means he's going to have to wait. Benavidez is going to have to wait that much longer to get a title shot. Now, what he can do, I would love to see Benavidez fight Caleb Smith. I think that makes for a great fight. I really would love to see that. But, you know, it's no point of Benavidez looking back. He definitely doesn't need to make 168 pounds. He doesn't need to go back down. You know, it's just because he's a big dude, and I have a feeling that when he moved up to 75, I had a feeling in between camps he's like, okay, I ain't got to cut as much weight so I can eat a little bit more or whatnot. That's just my feeling. That's just my theory. I gotta, cause you know, I don't know. I don't know. But you know, that's just my thought. But you know, I hopefully you know, Benavidez can get a title shot soon. Hopefully he can you know, because the thing I love about Benavidez is he's making his own legacy. You know, he has great names on his resume: Anthony Durrell, Caleb Plant, Demetrius Andrade, Alexander Gosek. Well, you could say he was older, maybe past his prime, but you know, now David Morrell, dude has a really good resume. All right. And he's deserving of a title opportunity. And I know for a fact Bivol and Better Beef they're not finna duck him. So shout out to them. So I can't wait for that happens. But that's just my thought on it. That's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Do you feel like David Benavidez should move on with his career, or do you still want a Canelo Alvarez fight? I wasn't even finna do no more videos like this, but I still see people, just the Canelo fanboys, talking stupid. But what do I know?